Have you ever gone to bed early, slept for 8 full hours, and still woken up feeling tired? Not just a little sleepy, but heavy, unmotivated, as if the night did nothing for you. Have you ever opened your eyes in the morning and thought, how can I already feel exhausted? If you're over 60, this is something many people experience quietly. They don't always talk about it. They just accept it. They say things like, well, I slept 8 hours, so I guess this is just how mornings are now. Or this must be what aging feels like. But let me ask you something very honestly. Have you ever wondered why sleep no longer feels restorative? Why it doesn't give you that sense of renewal it once did? Because here is something I want you to hear very clearly. If you are over 60, the problem is usually not how long you sleep. It's how your body is sleeping. This is not insomnia. This is not laziness. And it is certainly not a personal failure. And no, it is not just age. There is a real reason so many seniors wake up tired even after doing everything right. And almost no one explains it properly. Most seniors today are waking up exhausted for a reason that is rarely talked about, not because it's unimportant, but because it requires looking at sleep in a very different way. And once you understand it, everything changes. Now let's talk about the great misunderstanding around sleep after 60. For most of your life, you were told one simple rule: if you're tired, sleep more. If you don't feel good in the morning, you probably didn't sleep long enough. So people try. They go to bed earlier, they stay in bed longer, they aim for 8 hours, sometimes even more. And yet, they wake up just as tired, sometimes even worse. This is where frustration begins. People start to feel confused. Some feel guilty, as if they are doing something wrong. Others quietly worry that something inside them is breaking down. But the truth is much simpler and much kinder. Sleeping more hours does not automatically mean sleeping better. And after 68 hours no longer mean the same thing they did at 40. There is a very important difference that almost no one explains. The difference between sleeping and repairing. You can be asleep without your body truly repairing. You can be resting without your system fully restoring itself. This is what happens to many seniors. The body still sleeps. The eyes are closed. The clock keeps moving. But the deeper stages of sleep, the ones where healing happens, become shorter, lighter, and more fragmented. The body enters deep sleep fewer times. The brain doesn't finish its nighttime work. And when that happens, you wake up with a strange feeling, not pain exactly, not illness, just a lack of energy, a lack of clarity, a sense that something is missing. And this is where I want to speak to you with complete honesty. You are not imagining this, and you are not alone. Many seniors feel frustrated by this. They feel confused by it. Some even feel ashamed to admit it. They think everyone else seems fine. Why do I feel like this? And that thought alone creates stress, a quiet stress that says something must be wrong with me. But here is the sentence I want you to remember. You are resting, but you are not restoring. Your body is doing what it can, but it is missing the conditions it needs to complete the repair. And when repair doesn't happen fully at night, energy doesn't return in the morning. This is not a weakness. It is not a defect. It is a signal that your body is asking for something different, not more sleep, but better guidance during sleep. And this is exactly what we are going to talk about. Because once you understand why this happens and what your body is truly missing at night, you stop blaming yourself, you stop forcing rest, and you begin working with your body instead of against it. And that is when mornings begin to change again. Let me explain the real reason this happens. Because once you see it, you can't unsee it. For many seniors, the body never fully switches off at night. Yes, you fall asleep. Yes, you stay in bed for hours. But deep inside, the system remains on guard. I want you to imagine something. There are two very different modes your body can be in. One is alert mode, the other is repair mode. Alert mode is what keeps you safe during the day. It watches, it reacts, it stays ready. Repair mode is what heals you at night. It restores tissue, it resets the brain, it renews energy. When we are younger, the switch between these two modes is very clear. At night, the body lets go, the nervous system relaxes, repair takes over. But as we age, something subtle begins to change. the switch becomes sticky, and for many seniors, it never fully flips. Why does this happen? First, there is accumulated stress, not dramatic stress, not one big event, but years of small worries, responsibilities, losses, concerns about health, finances, family. The nervous system learns to stay vigilant. Then there is silent inflammation, not enough to cause sharp pain, but enough to keep the body slightly irritated, slightly tense. Then there is digestion. Many seniors eat their largest meal late in the evening. Even if the food is healthy, the body is still busy processing, breaking down, circulating, and digestion is a very demanding task. Add to that shallow breathing. As the chest tightens with age, breathing becomes lighter, less oxygen reaches the brain, and finally there is something most people never think about. The brain stops receiving clear signals of safety. No signal that says, it's okay now, you can rest. So the system does what it has learned to do. It stays half awake. And that is why so many seniors sleep like this. It's like sleeping with one eye open. The body rests on the surface, but never sinks into full repair. And this is the moment I want you to pause and reflect, because this explains everything. That's why you can sleep 8 hours and still wake up exhausted. Not because sleep failed you, but because repair never truly began. Now let me show you something very important. There is one mistake that almost every senior makes before bed, and it has nothing to do with screens alone. This mistake happens even in people who eat well, even in people who avoid sugar, even in people who do everything right. It happens at the dinner table. Many seniors eat too late or too heavy, or in a way that forces digestion to continue deep into the night. And here is the truth most people never hear. Your body cannot heal and digest at the same time. It has to choose. When digestion is active, blood is pulled toward the stomach and intestines. Energy is directed toward breaking food down. Enzymes are working. The liver is busy. The gut is active. And that energy has to come from somewhere. So it is taken away from the brain, taken away from muscle repair, taken away from hormonal balance. You may be asleep, but your body is still at work. Many seniors tell me, but Barbara, I eat healthy. And I believe them. The issue is not the food itself, it's the timing. It's eating in a way that keeps the body busy when it should be restoring. Then there are liquids. People drink juices, milk, herbal teas that are not as calming as they think. Too much, too late, the bladder fills, sleep becomes fragmented, the nervous system keeps waking up, and each awakening pulls the body back into alert mode. This is why some seniors wake up feeling like they worked all night, because in a way, they did. The body never stood down. And I want to say this gently, this is not your fault. No one taught you this. You were told to sleep more, to try harder, to push through, but sleep cannot be forced and repair cannot happen under pressure. The body heals when it feels safe and when it is free to focus on one job at a time. And once we understand this, we stop trying to fix sleep by adding more effort, and we begin creating the conditions that allow the body to finally rest. And that is where real energy returns, not suddenly, not dramatically, but steadily, morning by morning. Because when the body finally enters repair mode, it remembers how to wake up alive again. Now let me explain how this cycle quietly breaks down in seniors, often without them even realizing it. Because once this cycle is broken, no amount of extra sleep will fix it. One of the biggest players here is cortisol. Cortisol is often called the stress hormone, but that's only half the story. Cortisol is also a timing hormone. It is meant to be higher in the morning, to help you wake up, to feel alert, to get moving, and it is meant to drop at night, so repair can begin. But in many seniors, cortisol no longer follows this rhythm. It stays elevated into the evening, not high enough to feel anxious, not high enough to feel panicked, just high enough to keep the system alert. And when cortisol stays up at night, the body never fully relaxes. Then there is low-grade inflammation. This kind of inflammation doesn't shout, it whispers. It comes from years of small irritations, from digestion that never fully rests, from joints that ache quietly, from tissues that don't fully recover. And inflammation sends a message to the brain, a message that says, stay alert, something might be wrong. So the nervous system listens and it keeps watch. Then there is something even more important, the lack of calming signals. Your brain does not calm itself automatically. It responds to signals, signals from breathing, from posture, from warmth, from stillness, from gentle routines. As we age, many of these signals disappear. Breathing becomes shallow, movement becomes tense, even bedtime becomes rushed or distracted. So the brain never receives the message it needs, the message that says you are safe, you can rest now. This is why walking does not solve it. Walking is wonderful for circulation, for mood, for joints, but walking stimulates the system. It does not switch it off. This is why sleeping more hours does not solve it. You can lie in bed longer, but if the nervous system remains alert, repair will not deepen. This is why pills do not solve it at the root. They may knock you out, they may quiet awareness, but they do not teach the body how to relax. They do not restore the natural rhythm between alertness and repair. So I want you to hear this very clearly. You are not lacking sleep. You are lacking the right signals. Your body is waiting for guidance, not force, not pressure, not more hours, just the right message at the right time. And the beautiful thing is, once the body receives those signals again, it responds quickly, not overnight, but naturally, and that is what we will talk about next, because there is a gentle way to reteach the body how to leave alert mode behind, and finally return to deep restoring rest, without fighting, without medication, and without blaming yourself. And when that happens, sleep becomes healing again, and mornings stop feeling like a battle. Now let me show you how this begins to change. Not with rules, not with rigid routines, and not with medication. It begins with principles, because the body does not respond to instructions, it responds to signals. The first principle is signals of safety. Your nervous system must feel safe in order to let go. Safety is not logical, it is sensory. It comes from warmth, from slow movement, from calm breathing, from predictability. When the body senses safety, it releases its grip. The second principle is rhythm. The body loves rhythm, not perfection, not strict schedules, but consistency. Similar times, similar cues, similar evenings. When rhythm returns, the nervous system stops guessing, and when it stops guessing, it stops guarding. The third principle is intelligent nighttime nourishment, not eating more, not eating less, but eating in a way that does not compete with repair. Food can either support rest or delay it. At night, the body needs simplicity, light nourishment, easy digestion, no metabolic stress. This frees energy for healing. The fourth principle is breathing. Most seniors breathe shallowly without realizing it. Short breaths keep the brain alert. Slow, deep breathing tells the nervous system something very important. There is no emergency. And when that message is repeated gently, the body listens. And the final principle is preparing the nervous system. Sleep does not begin when you close your eyes. It begins in the hour before. That is when the system decides whether to stay alert or enter repair. This is why forcing sleep never works, but inviting rest does. And I want you to pause here and feel this, because this is the moment many people realize something. They realize they are not broken. They realize their body is not failing them. It has simply been waiting for the right conditions. Your body still knows how to wake up energized. It has not forgotten. It has just been interrupted. And once you begin sending the right signals, even gently, even imperfectly, the body responds. Mornings begin to soften, energy begins to return, and waking up no longer feels like climbing uphill, not because you slept longer, but because you finally slept deeper. And this is where true rest lives, not in hours, but in harmony. Now, before we finish, I want to speak to you directly, not to your habits, not to your diagnosis, not to your age, to you, because many seniors carry something quietly to bed with them every night. Guilt, fear, and resignation guilt for needing more rest, fear that something is going wrong, and a quiet belief that this is just how life is now. So let me say this clearly. You are not lazy. You are not broken. Your body is simply tired of being misunderstood. For years, you have asked it to perform without giving it the conditions it needs to recover. And that is not failure. That is misunderstanding. Rest can improve at any age, not with force, not with pressure, but with small, intelligent changes. A calmer evening, a softer signal, a little more respect for how the body truly works. And those small changes create big effects, better mornings, clearer thoughts, a lighter feeling when you open your eyes. Now, if this message resonated with you, if something finally made sense, I invite you to write a simple phrase in the comments. Just write, "I want to rest better." I read the comments myself, and I have a small guide I share with those who ask. And if you found value here, feel free to like this video and subscribe, not because you have to, but because this channel is a quiet place for people who want to age with understanding, not fear. Now, as we end, I want you to imagine something. Tonight, you go to bed without trying to sleep, without fixing, without forcing. You simply allow your body to do what it already knows how to do. You breathe, you soften, and you trust, because rest is not something you force. It is something you allow. Sleep well.